Well, I'm so excited to have you on. Was it last year that I went on your podcast or how long ago was that?
No sense of time.
Insane.
It was definitely, I think it was last year.
Yeah, I think so
I don't
too.
think it was in this year.
It was last year because I remember we were talking a lot about my eating stuff and my nutrition stuff at the time, and I know that it was something that you had dealt with a lot in your past. And I remember us chatting and me being like, I want to interview you right now about this.
I know, and I loved that episode, Whitney. It's one of my favorites. I just thought you were so honest and vulnerable, and it was inspiring, and everyone's on their own journeys, and it's not easy to like have those conversations. So I loved it. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, thank you. Well, having those conversations, I feel like was what really helped me to get to the place that I'm at today. And I'm sure you feel that way too. Like having a podcast can be very cathartic. And then also hearing yourself talk on all these other podcasts and talking it out, you like eventually get to where you need to be on your own.
Definitely.
So it feels really nice. But I guess let's just first start off for our listeners by introducing yourself. I know you were an athlete and you then struggled with mental health, and it made you take a look at everything, like how you lived your life. So just give us a little gist of how you got started and your world in mental health.
Of course. It's always fun to elevator pitch your own life. I'm like, here is me in a nutshell.
In 5
people.
sentences.
Put your seatbelts on. Okay. So hi, my name is Victoria. So thrilled to be here with Whit.
Yes.
I did play college volleyball at USC, so fight on to any Trojans out there.
I'm a Trojan.
Oh,
yeah.
I feel like we talked about
this,
that.
But
Yeah.
I'm not like as outward about it because I only went there for 2 years, so I'm not like a full Trojan. But anyways,
no, that's still a big deal.
Yeah.
And I would say the biggest reason that I had such an eye-opening experience when I first struggled with my mental health was because prior to going to college, I hadn't struggled with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had definitely viewed the conversation around mental health as something like important, sure, but it doesn't affect me directly, so I don't care about it. I had like a very privileged way of looking at it. And it wasn't until I was in that environment where we were the #1 team in the country. There was so much pressure. I was also like Olympic lifting, and my body was gaining weight, and I was eating differently, and I struggled with my appearance. And then I developed a binge eating disorder because I was like restricting and then binging at night. And then that on top of just the performance anxiety I felt of, I don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to get benched. We can't lose a game. I just really started to unravel. I've learned a lot about myself now in present day that I am very much a perfectionist. And I think that's never been really clear to me because I'm like, well, but my bathroom's not always spotless and I'm not always like buttoned up. So I can't be a perfectionist. But the way
it's hard to live in the gray.
Yes.
We always think like it has to be all completely one way or the other, and it's very confusing for us if we live somewhere in the middle.
Yes, and that's me in a nutshell. I must be either in the black or the white. I cannot be in the middle. So in hindsight, as I look back, I really was like short-circuiting because I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't control every single aspect of my life right now. There's so much uncertainty. Every single day I walk in the gym, I could be benched. That caused me a lot of anxiety. And then I didn't want to tell anyone about it because I didn't want to be viewed as less than. And everyone around me, especially at USC, looked so beautiful and perfect. And I thought, this is just what I need to do to try to be skinny and all that. And then I fell into this major depressive episode my sophomore year, just really a shell of myself, really numb, not the bubbly, talkative girl you're seeing now. Maybe at times I'd used that to mask how I was feeling, but I just got to this low point where honestly I questioned like, what is the point of life? So then I started to have this like existential crisis, and I'm grateful that nothing felt important to me that was trivial anymore. I was a journalism major, thought I would do sports broadcasting. And then I started to think, well, why would I go report on who got how many more touchdowns when we should really be asking these people, how are you doing? Like, how was your life? Like, well, the questions I wanted people
like,
to
how are you showing up today?
Because that's what I was craving being asked. And so
I've always said that. I've always wanted to know, like, I want to know a day. That's why I love the sports documentaries, because it's like you want to know what goes into the mental toughness of an athlete.
Right.
Because there's so much.
It's like, how are you doing though? Imagine if after a game, a sports reporter was like, and Jacob, how are things at home? Like, that's like what I was craving at the time.
To talk about. You're like, I wish someone would just ask me how I'm doing.
Yes. I had times where even I remember being on an airplane heading to a game, and I went into the bathroom of the airplane bathroom to just sob because I needed like 5 minutes to let it out. And I remember walking out of the bathroom and making eye contact with someone who was a part of our group, and thinking like, okay, like someone just saw this, like maybe they'll reach out.
Yeah.
And like nothing was really said about it. It wasn't until like the next day when we were like with all the people walking from point A to Z that the person was like, hey, like everything okay? But it just like, that wasn't the time or place for me to open up. I don't know. I just thought I was sending signals and crying
no one
for help.
Right. And no one was taking the cue.
Yeah, and that's no one's fault, because it is hard for people to identify like when someone's struggling, and it's ultimately not on someone else to say you need help or you need to do this, right? Like hopefully we can come to that ourselves. And I don't blame anyone. I just mean to say like the way that I was craving to talk about this through that example. So that led me to the thing that changed my life, which was giving a TEDx talk on the mental health crisis facing student athletes. I was 19, a sophomore in the end of my sophomore year. This opportunity came about at SC. You had to audition and try out and pitch your story. I got chosen, and that changed my life because I went on that stage and I said, I'm not okay and I'm really struggling. I remember thinking people from my high school and my home are going to be like, wait, Victoria Garrick? Like she's depressed? Like what?
Like,
because it was such a switch. And yeah, so that's how this all started. Then I started telling my story more. I started making YouTube videos, started a podcast called Real Pod a few years ago. I'm so grateful you've been on the show, and I invite other people on to share their stories. And that's kind of how this all started. It was not planned.
It's not none of this stuff that ever really, like, it never really is. Like, I had the same thing when I started recording I Love My Baby But I Hate My Pregnancy, which was the series I did on YouTube. And I was like, I started talking about mental health and how much I like hated my pregnancy, and I was so scared to put it out there. But like putting that out there inevitably was the thing that then led me to really like building a connection and finding my true worth, you know, like finding what I could do. So it takes so much, like as a 19-year-old to be in the struggle and to then put yourself out there. Were your parents, what did your parents think were going on at the time? And like, it's just interesting to me because I, like you also, I grew up not really thinking about mental health. Everything was always fine. So yeah, where were your parents at in this whole thing?
They are the best. I love my parents so much. They knew I was struggling. My mom had times where she would see me and it was just like, I looked like I didn't have like a soul, like, cause I was pale and I was breaking out and I just did not look like my best self. And there were times I would just like break down sobbing, especially to my mom. And she'd be like, that's it. I'm knocking on his door. We're taking you off the team. You're coming home. Like, my parents knew I was struggling. So I was open with them and I'm really grateful to be close with them. But it's tough. It's like, but here I am doing this thing I've always wanted to do. On paper, I'm playing. We won the Pac-12. We're the number one team in the tournament. Like, this is everything. So I also was not willing to step away from the team. Right. Like I blamed myself of like, I've got to figure out how to figure this out. The mental toughness aspect of like, you know, my whole life, unless you puke, faint, or die, keep going. Like, champions are made in this moment. Losers quit. Like, that's what comes into my head.
Right. You've worked so hard and you're like, this is all the sacrifice. These are the feelings I need to be having. Like, I need to push all this down because I've worked so hard to get to this point.
Exactly. And I think there are people who are probably thinking, but there's truth in that. Like, the greatest people, performers, whatever the field is, they face adversity. And I would say, yes, they do. But there's a difference between mental health and mental toughness. And your mental health, it's your state. It's your baseline. Like, we want to begin running a marathon with no injuries, right? Then when you're running the marathon, you're going to have thoughts of like, okay, it would be so much easier if I stopped running right now, but I've got to keep running. That's mental toughness. So I think when you shift into one of those places of, no, I'm just like, if someone asked me, how are you? And I feel like I'm going to cry. I don't think our mental health is in a great spot. But if I'm in practice and they're like, we're going to run 10 more sprints, yeah, we got to do that if we want to
Right,
win. So
right.
the difference is difficult. It's difficult to understand now. It was difficult as an 18-year-old who didn't have the tools, the framework, the experience to understand. So I was pushing myself when I probably shouldn't have been. And to bring this back to your question, when I did give my TEDx talk, my parents were incredibly supportive. Of course, prior to it, I did get the like, are you sure? Like, this is going to live forever on the internet. It was kind of still a different time in 2017. Like, we didn't really know everything about social media yet. And I said, yeah, this is my life. This is my story. Like, if someone doesn't hire me because of this, then I don't want to work for them.
Totally.
And that was that. My parents were like, okay, then we support you. But I respect them playing devil's advocate. Every parent wants to try to protect their kid.
Of course. And we need that. We need to see both sides of it. So you go and you do this TEDx talk and you're out there and you're saying, I am not okay. And you're like living your truth. And then what though then when you go back and you're in your own practice, what were the actionable steps that you took to getting to where you're at now? Like, what were the actual things that you did to get a grasp on your mental health?
Mm-hmm. So many things, and I will share them.
Yes.
Before I do, I want to stress, like, everyone's experience is different.
Of course.
And I wish I could say, here's the special key to never struggle, right? Like, don't we all wish that?
That there was some sort of prescription or
Yes.
of the journey, of the plan for us. But no, of course.
Right.
This is your story, what worked for you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think through what I've learned throughout the years, talking with amazing people, inspiring people, Olympians, entrepreneurs, is being happy takes work. They say the statement, choose your hard, which at first I don't love that statement. But then when you expand on it, what it means is like, it's hard and difficult to feel terrible and have negative thoughts and be depressed. And then it's also hard to like go tell someone how you're feeling and show up to therapy and have tough conversations. Like, everything is hard. So once I got to a place where I was like, I can't keep sulking in this depression, like, I need to do something about it, I opened up to a teammate just like casually that I was like, hey, this is like really hard for me. Is it hard for you? Just almost like fishing to see if I would get a little bite, and I'd be like, okay, I'm validated.
It's crazy to me that these conversations weren't already being had, but
in 2016, 17, no, there was no Simone Biles story. Ali Raisman talking about it. Kevin Love, I think, had just done the Players Tribune article. It was not the way it is now. I'm so glad that now almost like the conversation of mental health has become so a part of elite sports. Simone Biles posting about it during the Olympics, her documentary, all of that is so important, and it would have probably made me feel less alone.
But it just goes to show you how far we've come.
Yeah.
And also, like, thanks to voices like you who have made it okay to say that.
Thank you. It's wild looking back in hindsight.
But yeah, so you confided, you decided to talk to one of your teammates.
Yes. And then she actually said, yes, this is really hard for me too. And I actually see a therapist, and we can see them for free as athletes at the health center. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't even know about that resource. So I began to go. First session was really difficult. If anyone's gone to therapy for the first time, you definitely have that out of body, like, oh my God, what has happened to my life? I've hit rock bottom. Like, I can't do this myself. There's a lot of judgment.
A lot.
And stereotyping.
And then you're judging yourself for talking too much or listening to yourself. And then you think what you've said sounds like not worth anybody's time to help you. And it's so much. And then there's also finding the right fit of the therapist.
Yes. The first one I saw, I knew wasn't the best fit for me. It was like the very end of the school year, and I had just gone, and I feel like I just cried the whole time, and then I walked away feeling pretty embarrassed. Like, I can't believe I just went to therapy and I did that.
Yeah.
And so then when I came back for my sophomore year and began going again, I submitted for a different therapist, and it was a great match, and she was my therapist throughout college and was so helpful. And that was one of the first things. And to kind of answer, like, what were some of the things I did, I had never kind of taken the microscope to my life or like hovered above my life and said, why am I the way that I am? Why is it that I feel like if I'm benched or I don't play, I'm worthless and everything I've done is worth nothing? And I started to realize that way I like hyper fixated on achieving and being successful. And, you know, it was so cool to sit in that chair with that therapist and her say, okay, well, when you were little, like, what was it like when you did well in school or on a sports team? Like, what was the reaction? And you start to think about how you formed your own identity. And then I just,
those actions.
yeah. And I really loved that. I'm so curious, and it was cool to peel back the layers and understand that and have the aha moments, and then to learn the coping skills of, okay, if I'm feeling stressed, I can, you know, call on breath work. I can do a meditation. I can remind myself, you know, my guiding principles, or do my journaling exercise of what's in my control today, what's not in my control. Oh, I'm focusing on the thing that's not in my control. It's a waste of energy. So I started to learn a lot of these like tools and mental frameworks that could help me, and they were really, really helpful. And the reason I think I was able to keep playing and find ways to cope. So help seeking therapy, as far as like body image and my relationship with food, I really had to reflect on the way I was engaging with all of that. You know, I'm the one who's obsessing over getting the perfect bikini photo and then face tuning it and then posting it and then staring at my phone waiting for people to validate and tell me I'm pretty and I can like myself.
Well, yes, you are doing that, but it's because you're doing it because you're also sparked by comparison of others. It's not...
Yes, we're in a society that's also told me my worth as a woman is if I am the hottest.
Right. Like, so you shouldn't shame yourself or feel bad for wanting to do that or wanting to look good. But I guess it's really getting to the root of why you're wanting that.
100%. I agree with you. Like, we've been conditioned and the commercials we've seen and the things we've heard. So I have that aha moment of, oh my gosh, wait, that's like societal conditioning.
Totally.
What do I actually think is a beautiful woman? And do I actually need to ask people to like and comment on my Instagram for me to feel okay with myself that day? So it was a lot of that questioning and really, I think, like peeling back these layers to then kind of step forward into the world in greater alignment with who I knew I really was. And so when I did deliver the TEDx talk, I also made a huge change on social media. I was like, I'm no longer going to edit my photos, and I'm no longer going to obsess over what I'm posting. And I didn't even have any followers at the time. I was just making that change to do it. And yeah, I've since then like never really looked back on wanting to be vulnerable and wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think it's such a beautiful way to live. And I hope to inspire other people to kind of step into whatever they're feeling, and let's minimize the shame, because everyone suffers
completely
in some way. And to your point earlier about if I'm in therapy and I'm like, oh, I hear it coming out of my mouth, and is this even worth saying? And there can be some guilt. But I like to remind people that our hearts have room for both.
Yeah.
We have room to hold space for someone going through something on the other side of the world that's incredibly traumatic. And you might have a strained relationship with a sibling, and that's really tough. Like, we don't need to compare and take away from other people. We can have perspective to feel sorrow and empathy for others, and then allow ourselves space to experience our own emotions.
Completely. And also to know that not all of our feelings are who we really are, or like not all of our thoughts are true. So like this thought that you have about what you need to look like in order for other people to approve or like it's not actually based on anything true. It's based on this thing that you've created in your head.
Yeah.
I think that it's really, really important. Like, and even with the eating stuff too, what helped me so much is also being mindful and thinking about what felt good, what did I want, what was I feeling like. Like in terms of the eating stuff, because that can be a journey. And what did that look like for you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, the first thing I'll say is I loved your point about how we're experiencing it, because I think when we say, I am anxious,
yes,
it's like, no, you are a human being who's experiencing a universal emotion of anxiousness. And I encourage people, when they put words to their feelings or their mental health, to know that like there's you and then there's the experience. The experience is 100% valid, but knowing that you're still powerful, and like separating your identity has been big. And then as far as body image and food, I mean, so I think my whole like teenage life, I dieted, I drank little Slim Quick shakes, I counted calories.
You did.
Yes.
So that was part of your world.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Watching, the VS fashion show, and
yes,
I had
that was an unfortunate part of our childhood.
My screensaver would literally be like a model, and it would say, I would pull these really toxic quotes, but I just thought that was normal. Like, I still to this day, I'm like, anything up until the actual binge eating disorder, I'm like, that's just like girlhood.
Girl, whatever. I know. We had a quote on our fridge in college that was like, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels.
I feel like every millennial knows that quote, which is so terrible.
It's so terrible.
A lot of things taste better than what skinny feels.
A lot. Skinny feels awful.
No, it does.
It's exhausting. I feel lethargic. I'm tired. I have no energy. I never want to feel skinny.
The Jennifer Lawrence thing where she's like, a lot of things taste better. Bread, butter. I love that
true.
clip. There are so many things.
Yeah.
I was talking about this with a friend earlier today. The falsity that was sold to us that skinny cures your life and you walk on water, that's not a real thing.
No, it's not. It's not. And I was never even trying to be skinny because I thought that that's what we should be. Like, my whole eating thing was, maybe a little bit based on that, but was like a totally different part of my personality that's more about like not caring and just being very like blasé about things. But I know I grew up in that when I'm older than you, but part of that same generation where people were really focused. There was like a lot of anorexia in the news.
I mean, and you were in the media.
Yeah.
I'm talking from the perspective of like, we consumed magazines. You're like, I was in the magazine.
But luckily for me, there was no social media at the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have people commenting on my body, or I wasn't posting stuff and then I had people like giving opinions about how I looked all the time. So I was lucky in that respect. Yeah. But okay, so that taking
was
charge of your
that was a lot of just how I came up really integrated in diet culture.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And then in college, things just got worse, and I feel like I got to a point where even I couldn't keep enduring this experience of the binge eating. And I remember opening up to my mom. We were at lunch one day. Ironically, we were having food. And I was like, I told her, I think I have a binge eating disorder. I had gotten comfortable with a nutritionist who worked with the team. And so I had opened up to her and she had kind of said, hey, this is what this is looking like. Uh-huh. And then at that point I was like, well, then I got to tell my mom. We are besties.
Yeah.
So I told her, and she ended up sending me this book called Breaking Free from Emotional Eating by Janine Roth. Uh-huh. So sweet of you, Mom. Also, this title, you think I'm gonna walk into the library breaking free from emotional eating? I'm like, even I can't even accept I'm an emotional eater.
Right.
It was so jarring. I literally duct taped the cover because I was like, well, I know I got to read this, but I don't want people to see I'm reading it.
The title. Yeah.
I don't think there were audiobooks.
Yeah.
Maybe there were, but I started reading that, and the book talks about the principle of intuitive eating, and it was life-changing for me. I remember specifically reading a line that said, it doesn't matter how many calories are in an egg white. Do you want an egg white?
Right.
And I was like, wait, the way that I've never asked myself what I want to eat, I just eat what I think I should or what's low cal. Uh-huh. So it was really empowering. And then I remember for lunch, I was like, let me take 10 seconds to breathe in and breathe out and say, am I even hungry? I know it's lunchtime, but am I hungry? Is my body craving energy and fuel? Okay, it is. What am I hungry for? Do I want a salad because it's cold and crunchy and I like the idea of having something lighter and citrusy? Or do I want a hearty sandwich with bread and I want a salty chip? And it was really honestly fun and freeing to give myself the ability to make that choice, as opposed to looking at what the magazine or the YouTube video said about how many meals or snacks we're supposed to have a day. Right.
And exactly what you should be eating and at what time.
Yes.
And it's exhausting. That's the other thing, is also everybody has to remember that we're all so individual and require different things, that this intuitive eating to me feels like the most universal thing that we can connect to really tune into what our own body needs. I never thought about that. I did not. And I had wonderful parents too, but it wasn't there wasn't the same education. I wasn't thinking about what I wanted. My mom made dinner for the 5 of us at night, and that's what we ate. My mom packed our lunch in the morning, and that's what we ate. I wasn't really given a lot of independence with my food.
Yeah.
So, but this intuitive eating has completely changed my life as well.
Oh, I love to hear that.
Yeah,
what have you been using as like a resource to learn more about it?
Well, Elise Resch is my nutritionist.
Okay, so you went to the holy grail of intuitive eaters.
Yes, exactly. So like I have read her book, and then I talk to her every 2 weeks, and we discuss everything. So yeah, she's just really helped me just make it really simple. It doesn't have to be, food for me is not something that, it's like fuel. It's not something that I get so much enjoyment out of. So it becomes more difficult to be like, what do I really want or feel like? Because like nothing.
You don't care. You're like,
good.
I don't want to think about it.
But like thinking of just taking the time to think about it, like you end up realizing that you do have, you do have an opinion, and that you do want to take some control over this, and it feels good too. Yeah.
And for people listening, Elise Resch and Evelyn Triboulet are basically the two incredible women who coined the term intuitive eating. They wrote the books on it, incredible books. They're amazing. And I'm so happy to hear that. And that was really what had a big shift in me. And then of course you have to learn, and you have to take time, and you have moments where you eat more than your body was hungry for, or you are tempted to try a diet, but you just keep kind of bringing yourself back to neutral.
Center. Yeah.
So I'm just really grateful for it. And it's something I like to talk about a lot, because hopefully we can the younger we can get girls feeling empowered to not go with the status quo, then we can avoid them having to give depressed, have a TED Talk, do all the stuff.
Completely. Like it could be so much simpler for them. Just let us deal with all of it. What do you say, like from all of those things that you learned at that time, what are some of the bigger self-care things that you do now that you've maintained that are like your non-negotiables on a daily basis?
I love this. Well, I don't weigh myself.
I don't either.
Yeah, I have not gotten on a scale in I don't know how many years. I just went to the OBGYN, and when it's time to get weighed, which I don't even know why you need the number.
Yeah,
but
same.
Whatever. I just say, I know when we're getting near that part, like hop on the scale. I was like, of course. And I would prefer not to know my weight.
Yeah.
She said, no problem. And I hop on and I close my eyes. Everyone's been really respectful. You don't have to get into a whole dialogue about it. So that's been really helpful for me. I also don't use any filters or Photoshop on my own pictures. I think
nothing.
I don't even swipe right to Paris.
Oh my God, I do.
It's okay. It's okay. Like whatever a person needs to do for themselves. For me, I just know it's like, oh, I look good. Okay, so then maybe I should do this. Like, I just know for myself. And I feel like I like to tell people that if they're looking for a little corner of the internet where even the photos of my house won't have Paris and the walls won't be perfect white, then you can have that.
Right. I try to do that, but then there's a certain part of me that's like, I can't go completely over the edge.
Everything looks better when you just swipe right. It's crazy.
So annoying.
No, I agree. It looks better with a white, the swipe right. But I just am like, and some days I'll post and be like, guys, I was so tempted today. It's just like that's a little thing that helps me feel.
Those are like micro moments that do probably make a dent on your mental health for sure.
Definitely. I go to therapy bi-weekly. I love it. I've had times where I go every week, and I've had years where I haven't gone, and then now I'm going every other week. So that's been huge for me. And I would just say constantly being on a path towards growing and evolving. I hesitate to say it because I don't want people to think like you have to constantly be better than you are.
And like constantly be working on yourself, which it sounds exhausting, but yes, you should be.
It is exhausting. But I think what I mean by that is like, even if I am growing to a place where I can allow myself to have a shitty day, right? Like I'm not saying to be a flawless human and never make mistakes, but I'm definitely always curious and in the pursuit of wanting to connect more with what it means to be human and what it means to exist. And I love the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I did like a book club with my best friend.
Oh my God, fun.
So Much to Say. And it's all about the ego and separating from our thoughts, like what you said before. Sometimes if I'm stressing, I'm like, just stop thinking.
Just stop
I'm
thinking.
like, literally stop thinking.
Yeah.
Just take 3 breaths to stop. so much of our own suffering is created by our own thoughts.
Completely. I will meditate now at that, and that's what I've turned to, but it's taken me now, this long to get there.
Yeah.
But like, I wish I had that when I was younger so that I wasn't spiraling, because
what kind of meditation do you do?
So I just use Calm, the app.
Love it.
I do Jeff Warren's Daily Calm every day. And some people think he talks too much. I like the guided talking. I like the lessons. And it just really allows me to like recenter and calm myself down. And I feel like more often than not, whatever I was stressing before, like I've either forgotten about or I've come up with some sort of solution, oddly enough. So
that's good.
Yeah. What kind of meditation do you do?
I like to just try to kind of be in the stillness or like the nothingness.
Yeah.
I think too, even if I am starting to think about the day, to like recognize that, wow, I kind of keep coming back to tasks. Like, I kind of try to observe where my resting mind goes and how it wants to constantly go back to get things done, accomplish. I also love the Gabby Bernstein meditation on YouTube.
Love her.
I think it's like the I Am Well one.
Okay.
It's so good.
Okay,
She's
I
like,
have to listen
I am
to it.
well, I am light, I am love. I'm like, I love this.
Yes. So what's the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning?
It depends when you ask me.
Okay,
because
good. I like that
sometimes-
you're not like a regimented, like schedule.
I don't have like a 10-step skincare routine. I have a mess, like just normal. But I would say like on my ideal days, I do like to use a Hatch alarm clock and not have my phone be the thing that I see first or hear first.
Yeah.
One of the things I did this year as like a 2024 resolution was minimizing phone usage and social media in the bedroom. I just found that I
hate it.
spending like 30 minutes to 45 on my phone in bed, both in the morning and at nighttime, and then starting to send an email and like felt behind on the day. So in the ideal mornings, I'm waking up to my alarm clock. I do like to try to tell myself to take a moment and say like, everything's okay right now. I did that this morning. You wake up and I'm like, I gotta grab this, and I just go, just for 20 seconds.
Everything's okay now.
Right here. I'm like, everything's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all good. Like, I make sure I really am like, I took my moment and then I get out of my bed.
I think that's so important. I had someone on this podcast so long ago that was all about tiny habits throughout your day and how forming those tiny habits can just change how you live. And he said he starts every morning, he puts his feet on the ground, and he says, today's going to be a great day. And then just by like saying that and just like having that mindful moment, it like puts out that into his subconscious for the day.
It reminds
nice.
me of this funny meme I found when I was in my anxious throes, and it said, instead of paranoia, how about pronoia? The belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor.
Yes, right. Like,
Could you
why
imagine
not?
if you were like, wait, something amazing is going to happen to me today. Like, this is going to be the best day ever. As opposed to being like, oh my God, I got all this stuff to do. Like, I'm going to get through everything. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to slay it.
Or even if I don't get through everything, it's like totally fine. I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to be, like,
exactly.
You have to be realistic. Okay, so you're not on your phone right away.
No, and then I've been pushing myself to hit what I'm calling a 3 a week of 3 times to work out and like have physical movement. It's so good for my mental health. I've realized I'm not working out to be skinny. I'm not working out because a coach is forcing me to. So then I had to figure out, why am I going to work out? Especially as women, I think we are told, like, if you're going to the gym, you're going to look at how many calories you're going to burn or how you're going to spot train your inner thighs. Like,
or how you want to look afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to connect to, I want to work out because I can, because my body is still able to, because I'm young, because my sweet Yaya, when she visits, it's hard to go up and down the stairs, and I'm sure she would love if for one day she could switch places and go run outside. So I do it a lot to tap into gratitude for the now, and knowing that when I'm older, if I have the privilege of growing old, that I can say I used my body and I got out there. I also think it gives you confidence. No one ever regrets a workout. You finish it and you're like, fuck yeah, like I can do the hard stuff today. I've already achieved one thing. So that's what I did this morning. I worked out.
That's really powerful. I think coming from that place of gratitude is amazing, because I think coming from a place of vanity won't get you far, but coming from a place of gratitude, it gives you such a purpose to do it. Yeah.
Even just going and being like, I'm here, I'm proud of myself, even if it's not the best workout.
Completely. And just like, it's just another way of working on yourself in some way, strengthening yourself. What do you like to do to relax?
Ooh, to relax, I would say that I like to have no plans. Any plan stresses me out. Even if it's like my day off to relax and my mom's like, and I'll come over for lunch at 11. I'm like, no. I would love to see you for lunch, but if it happens free of the moment, great. Yeah. But having anything on the calendar like triggers
You mean
me.
like social or anything? Because I'm kind of on that page where like, even if it's something that I'm really excited to do, I always get anticipation anxiety for anything, unless it's like plans with my husband.
Yeah. Even if you have the day free, but you know you have a 5 o'clock something.
Yeah,
it's like you don't have the day.
No, you don't. You're just
It's like girl math, right?
Exactly.
Like, so the day's full.
Like now I can't get anything done.
No, literally.
Like my mind's not going to be in the right place.
Yeah. So to relax, I like to have nothing.
No plans.
I would also say like, I love to be outside in the sunlight. I love to lay on the grass. I love to be in nature. Sometimes too, it is super nice to just stay in bed and watch a show and have no cares. So, yeah, that's my favorite ways to relax. How about you?
How do I like to relax? Same nothingness. Like I like to just get stoned and like sit outside or watch TV.
Nothing wrong with a Camigo.
Yeah,
sorry, nothing wrong with a Camino.
Totally. Well, you have to try my high confectionery ones.
Really?
I have gummies.
Okay,
they're low dose.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wait, I need to try.
Yeah, I really should have a stash.
I like
here,
a gummy, but sometimes when I feel groggy the next day, I don't know if I want to like. It's like you
I know
have the night and then you have a bad morning.
So our gummies are only 1 milligram per gummy, so they're really low dose. So you don't really have like a hangover or anything afterwards.
Does 1 milli, does it do something?
1 mill.
I fear 1 milli might go right through me.
For me, no. For me, I need a lot, but it depends. Okay, and then what do you do to like get energy? Like what gives you energy?
Yeah, definitely the workout in the morning. I think if I shampoo my hair and I do a blowout, like that gives me energy.
Amazing.
The days you wash your hair are exciting days.
I say I hate getting ready. Like getting ready exhausts me.
It does. The actual like choosing an outfit, like, oh my God, I wish I could just not have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm clueless. Just get it in the computer.
Right, have it all digitized.
But like I will say, like if I blow out my own hair, I feel energized. I think music is really powerful.
Yeah.
I think we underrate that. I have a playlist called Vic Energy.
Ooh.
And I will shuffle it and it just has songs that make me feel happy. Sometimes I have certain little things I do that I know make me feel better. This is so niche and maybe a little weird, but Snoop Dogg has a song for kids called the Affirmation Song. Have you ever heard it?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, Sunny will love it.
It is so good. It literally is like, there is no one better to beat than myself. There is no one. Like it has all these affirmations.
Oh
Today is going to be an amazing day. And I will literally listen to it. It's like made for kindergartners.
But I'm sure it's amazing.
It's so
I
good.
love Snoop Dogg.
I love Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So I like that song. I also like the song, I think it's called Happiness, but it's like, gonna be a good day and ain't nobody gonna die today. Like,
yeah, I know that song.
Some of those songs I call on and they give me energy.
I know dancing in my car is one of my favorite things ever, like alone in my car.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously, so you have your podcast. What's like your favorite thing about having your podcast, and then what's like your least favorite thing about having your podcast?
Us before we started recording.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how does my podcast happen just like without me?
It's all the logistics.
There's so much work. I feel like I used to tell people it's so easy, just start recording, and it's honestly because now with video production and just the market being oversaturated, it's a lot of work to have a podcast and for it to be successful.
It is. It's not just like a hobby. It's not just something people decide that they can do now as like an addition to their job.
Right, and to grow it, it's a lot, but I love it. So despite all of that, I do it because I would say my favorite thing is I do love the theme of my show, which is let's sit down and let's get real, which is something I would love to do no matter the time, day, over lunch, coffee. I just want to talk to people about what they're struggling with or their deep thoughts or their questions about life. So that's probably my favorite part. I'm sure as an interviewer, if someone says, I actually have never said this before, I'm like, yes, like that feels special. I think my least favorite part is probably when my mind gets caught up in like the data and the numbers and then I start to feel small small. Like my show isn't as big as that show, or my show this, or these guests don't want to come on. Like I think when that happens, that's not fun.
It's not fun.
And it's also not like really who I don't have the login to my downloads, and I don't go check when the episode goes live.
Yeah, neither do I.
I'm forced to look at it and be aware of it because you're at a network and there's ads and there's a lot that goes into it. But like, I feel really good just having a great conversation with someone.
Same. I know. I'm the same. I think though that's the most important thing. Like I do feel obviously data is important and we need to learn and grow, but I think that the growth usually happens when you're feeling good about the content that you're putting out there and about the conversations.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel nervous interviewing people? Because like I get really nervous interviewing people because I like get in my head. I'm like thinking about the next question, and I talk, I'm wordy, I'll like whatever, you know, I go all over the place, but you're more succinct. So do you get nervous at all?
You're a great interviewer. It is so nice though to come and just sit in this chair.
It's
and
so
like
much
turn my brain
better.
off.
It's so much better.
Literally, because it is, you're asking them a question and you don't want to like break eye contact, and you've got to think about the next point. Sometimes I'll listen to my episodes and be like, wait, when did they say that?
I didn't even hear that
because I was having a thought about how to ask the next thing.
I know. And you really want to enjoy the conversation, but you have to be moving it along appropriately. Okay, so it's good. It's good that I'm not like alone in this.
No, but you're not. Wait, sorry, what was the question? Me getting so sidetracked.
Just like if you get nervous interviewing people.
I've gotten nervous with some of the bigger guests.
Yeah.
Like the first time I interviewed, I think a really big guest was like when I had Katie Couric on, and I remember just like under the table my foot was shaking. Now I'm like, Katie girl, like come back on. Like, so I've had some experiences where I've had nerves. It's such an outlier that now I think I'm better at like slowing down. I think when I have nerves, it's because I'm moving through the world pretty fast. So when I slow down and I'm like, there's no rush and we can just talk, and I can forget what I want to say and then take a minute to look. Like, it's okay.
It's okay.
That stuff
like
helps.
you're not going to get in trouble if you make a mistake.
Yeah, that stuff helps me. And also, like, I feel that I need to give people the benefit of the doubt. The way that I know, I'd be like, oh, no worries. Like, just gather yourself. Like, why do I think they're going to be like, that is unprofessional and I'm leaving? Like,
right. I'm more getting in my head afterwards, like, interviewing people, you know, and I want to do it. I want to have these conversations, but I always feel like I need to cross this hurdle. But then I'm like, no, it's actually a human. It's natural to feel nervous.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
also, you're fucking Whitney Port. Like, they should be lucky to be on your show. Shift into the empowerment, girl.
I know. Need to shift into the empowerment. Okay. I could chat with you forever. I do want to talk about the Hidden Opponent, your organization, which is so amazing what you're doing. Tell everybody what you're up to with that.
Thank you. Well, the Hidden Opponent is the nonprofit I founded for student athlete mental health issues. It's named after my TED Talk. And we advocate, educate, and support student athletes who might be dealing with anxiety, depression, and eating disorder, or just struggling to adapt to the intensity of being a student athlete. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of campus captains who are our student athlete ambassadors.
Oh my God.
A presence in all 50 states, which is so exciting. And they're really the current leaders, you know? They are sharing their stories right now, and they are the ones making the difference on their campus and creating the impact, which I love, like as a founder and someone who was there myself. And also, it's been a while since I've been in college. It's so nice to kind of pass the torch to the new generation of leaders. And hopefully when people go to our website, thehiddenopponent.org, or our Instagram, they can see, wow, this is like such a big community of all people from different backgrounds, sports, places. And I would say the biggest thing is, for me, was making sure people knew, hey, you're not alone. So if you're struggling with this lifestyle,
there's this person, there's this resource.
We have this community where this is all we do is we talk about this and we advocate for it, and you're seen. And then also to provide accessible resources, depending on the school you're at, depending on the access you might have. You can see a therapist, or maybe you can't and you're on a wait list and it can be difficult. So it's really important that we're providing free programming for our campus captains, and they can attend webinars with mental health professionals and experts and just have access to some of these teachings, the ones that I kind of referred to back in therapy, to help them on their journeys.
So amazing.
Yeah, so it's exciting. And we have some fun stuff coming out in the new year with Adidas. We're
tell us.
a partner with them.
Amazing.
So we just had our first collaborations come out. We did a hoodie and we did a women's softball shoe.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then we have,
Cute.
hopefully, knock on wood, some stuff coming in the new year that'll be more versatile for everyone. So it's awesome. It's so cool to have their support and provide people with the opportunity to like really rep and be proud about the fact that they're in this conversation.
Completely. It's so important. It's wild that the school wouldn't have someone like that there, but it really is like, we love athletes. Like, we want to take care of them. There's so much of what make America. They're like so much of the heart and soul of America.
So true.
Right? And like, we need to take care of them, like their bodies, their brains, everything. So it's so cool what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also saw, two things on your Instagram I saw. One was Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
Did you just randomly?
Speaking of nerves, holy
Yeah, I'm like,
moly.
you must have been nervous
Oh,
for
I was
that.
so nervous.
Was that just like a random, where did that happen?
Yeah, so Rare Beauty, Selena's makeup company, we're launching a new product. It was the pressed powder. And so they invited a few creators to kind of create content with Selena to kind of talk about that product. I was so excited to have that opportunity with her.
I love her.
We each got like less than 5 minutes. I want to say 3 minutes.
Oh my God.
I had written my questions ahead of time. I had my mic plugged up. I'm test checking it and like waiting for them to bring me in the room with her and then kick me out. And I was definitely really nervous.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I was able to edit the video, but I think in the raw, I was like, totally. Like, everything she said was like, totally. Like, I just was like, I literally did the same thing
You're
every
a
time
robot,
because I
'cause you didn't know
couldn't
how to-
believe it.
Yeah.
And she's so eloquent and such a good speaker and so down to earth. So yeah, that was really fun. She's a huge mental health advocate.
Yeah,
and I really
I love her for
admire
that.
how everything she's created is so deeply rooted in impact. Like, it truly is. So as a business person myself, I admire that. But yeah, I got to do a mini interview with Selena, and of course it's pinned on my page.
I was so cute.
Few things could happen to make me replace that pin.
You don't. Maybe it was Taylor Swift.
Yeah. We'd add them both, and then my life would be made, and I retire.
Complete. Exactly. Wait, there was something. Forbes 30 under 30. I thought it's so insane.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud of you.
Thank you.
Like, you really should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you.
And
I definitely,
Yeah.
That still is surreal for me. I remember the first time I read like a 30 under 30 magazine, and I saved the copy of it in my high school bedside table because I was like, one day I would love to be a part of this. Yeah, it was crazy. When I found out, I like just started sobbing.
Yeah,
Insane.
surreal. So
Yeah.
surreal. Well, you deserve it.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun.
So much fun, Whitney. I
Where
appreciate
can
it.
everybody find you and learn more about you?
Yeah, well, I would say listen to Whitney's episode on Real Pod. I think it's timeless. It's really great.
I'm like, I have to listen to it. I don't think
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it back. I like have a hard time hearing my voice back. Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
But my podcast is called Real Pod. You can find it anywhere. And then you can find me on Instagram or TikTok at Victoria Garrick Browne for a fun, real time.
Yeah, sure is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yay.